Things have been tough in Britain for a while. For many, life is still harder than it should be. You long for a bit more money in your pockets, a meal out, a holiday, the chance to make a special family moment extra special. In 2026, the choices we've made will mean more people will begin to feel positive change in your bills, your communities, and your health service. But even more people will feel once again a sense of hope, a belief that things can and will get better. Feel that the promise of renewal can become a reality. And my government will make it that reality. More police on the streets by March, energy bills down, and the number of new health hubs.
Good day, Britain. You know your New Year's message has gone spectacularly wrong when even your own party's former advisors are admitting you have terrible taste in clothes, and the entire nation is comparing you to a Bond villain because of the sinister lighting that makes you look like you're plotting world domination from some underground lair rather than offering hope for the coming year. Sir Keir Starmer's New Year's address to the nation has become an instant meme for all the wrong reasons, with GB News host Tom Harwood and Nana Akua absolutely tearing into the Prime Minister's appearance, specifically his dark wardrobe that combined with unfortunate lighting creates a shadow under his chin that makes it look like he's grown a goatee, giving him the aesthetic of a villain rather than a leader trying to inspire confidence. Starmer promised that 2026 would bring positive change and renewed hope, but when you're delivering that message whilst looking like you're about to demand £1 million or threaten to destroy London with a laser, the optics rather undermine the content. This is a story of how terrible production values, questionable fashion choices, and Labour's continuing inability to read the room have combined to turn what should have been an uplifting New Year's message into a viral disaster, and why when even your own former advisors are admitting you can't dress yourself properly, you've got serious problems beyond just policy failures. Quick favour before we dissect this masterclass in how not to film a political message. If you love watching politicians accidentally make themselves look ridiculous through terrible production choices, hit that subscribe button right now. Over 94% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, takes a second, and helps us keep documenting these perfect moments where leaders reveal they have no idea how they're actually coming across. Smash that notification bell so you never miss when we capture the next political own goal or optical disaster. If you've just subscribed, you're brilliant. Cheers. Now, let's unpack how Starmer became a Bond villain. Let's start with what Starmer was actually trying to say in this New Year's message, because the content matters even if everyone's distracted by the lighting. He told Britons, in 2026, the choices we've made will mean more people will begin to feel positive change in your bills, your communities, and your health service. But even more people will feel once again a sense of hope, a belief that things can and will get better, feel that the promise of renewal can become a reality, and my government will make it that reality. That standard political optimism, promising that tough choices are paying off and better times are ahead. The problem is that after 18 months of Labour government, most Britons aren't feeling positive change. They are feeling higher taxes, continued immigration chaos, no improvement in NHS waiting times, and a general sense that the government has no idea what it's doing. So the message itself was already fighting uphill against reality. But then you add the visual disaster, and whatever slim chance the message had of landing positively evaporates entirely. Nana Akua's immediate reaction captures what everyone watching was thinking. I just can't take my eyes off the goatee, the reflection from when he's got some sort of shadow under his chin. It makes it look like he's got a goatee. I mean, like what director who directed that? For God's sake, how did they not see that? That's a fundamental question. How does a Prime Minister's New Year's message get filmed and released without anyone noticing that the lighting creates a bizarre shadow effect that makes him look like his grown facial hair? Don't they review footage? Don't they have communications professionals whose entire job is making sure the PM looks good on camera? Tom Harwood's observation about the dark shirt is equally damning. I don't know if I quite like his dark shirt. He quite often does a very dark shirt with a dark suit jacket, and it all just looks a bit dark. And then he's got this shadow underneath his chin. I mean, is he going for some sort of, I don't know, Bond villain look? The combination of dark colors with poor lighting creates an aesthetic that's more supervillain plotting in his secret base than Prime Minister offering hope for the new year. It's almost impressively bad production work to accidentally make your leader look menacing when he's trying to inspire confidence. Nana's follow-up about black being synonymous with very dark things and asking why he's wearing funeral colors for a supposedly uplifting message is spot on. When you go to a funeral or something awful, you wear dark colors. Most people wear dark. Why is he wearing that as well? It's color psychology basics. You wear bright colors, or at least lighter shades, when you try and convey optimism, hope, and positive energy. You wear black when you're mourning or want to look serious and somber. Starmer's choice of all black for a New Year's message about hope and renewal is completely tone-deaf to basic visual communication. Former Labour advisor Scarlett McCarthy's response is perhaps the most damning because it comes from someone who presumably wants Labour to succeed. I think clearly somebody hasn't reviewed it properly before he did it. I think the problem with what he's wearing is I don't think anybody would pretend that Keir has any taste in clothes. I mean, he can do suits, but is one of the worst casual dressers I have ever come across. When your own party's former advisors are publicly stating that you have terrible taste in clothes and are one of the worst casual dressers they've ever seen, you've got a serious image problem. This isn't partisan sniping from opponents. This is people who should be on your side admitting you don't know how to present yourself. Tom Harwood's quip about Lord Ali is brilliantly cutting. The problem is, Lord Ali has stopped buying him all of his clothes. This references a scandal where Labour donor Lord Ali was revealed to have spent thousands buying clothes for Starmer and his wife, creating questions about propriety and whether the PM was essentially being dressed by a wealthy benefactor. The joke here is that now Starmer has to dress himself again, and the results demonstrate why he needed someone else picking his wardrobe. It's a savage one-liner that works on multiple levels. Guire's explanation that it's about colors and the shadow is very, very strange, whilst noting that someone should have reviewed the footage and fixed the lighting issue, is essentially admitting complete production incompetence. And actually, that's what you're paid to do. Look through the thing and say this is what it is and how do we change it? And it's stuff I really don't know, but it's obviously about lighting or something like that. The number 10 communications team presumably includes professionals who understand lighting, camera angles, color theory, and how to make political leaders look good on video. The fact that this footage was reviewed, approved, and released suggests either those professionals don't exist, or nobody listens to them, or they are simply not very good at their jobs. When Guire tries to salvage something by analyzing the actual message, her defense is telling. But if we get on to his message, I think to be fair, I think he has got to tell us that it is really, really tough and it's going to take a lot to turn it around. And that's what he's saying. Finally, he's saying we're going to turn it around. But it's going to be a difficult journey. That's a messaging Labour wants people to focus on. Yes, things are tough, but we're working on it. Be patient. The problem is that governments get elected by promising to make things better, not by asking for patience whilst things remain difficult. 18 months in, this will take time start sounding like we don't actually have solutions. Commentator Charlie Rowley's assessment cuts to the political substance beneath the aesthetic disaster. There's certainly been a lot of change, but it's a change that nobody voted for. And they've been changing things. They've been changing their own minds, the amount of U-turns that they've carried out. This is the real problem that the Bond villain aesthetic merely symbolizes. Labour promised change, but the change they're delivering isn't what voters wanted. Higher taxes nobody voted for. Immigration policies that differ little from the Conservatives. NHS reforms that haven't improved waiting times. Economic policies that haven't delivered growth. The U-turns on various commitments undermine any sense that Labour has a coherent plan. Rowley's Bond reference is perfect, and you describe him as a sort of a Bond villain in that dark outfit, Tom. I think there was a Bond movie, Dr. No, and I think the public will be saying, no, in that spirit. Dr. No was the first Bond film, establishing the template of Bond facing off against megalomaniac villains with grandiose plans. The comparison to Starmer is both funny and cutting because it captures the public's rejection of his government whilst playing on the visual comparison that started the whole discussion. The broader issue this disaster reveals is Labour's continuing problem with presentation and communication. They are simply not good at the performative aspect of politics that matter in the modern media environment. Whether it's Starmer looking like a Bond villain, Angela Rayner's various gaffes, or Rachel Reeves' inability to sell her economic policies convincingly, Labour seems consistently unable to present itself in ways that resonate positively with voters. Content matters, policy matters, but so does presentation. If you can't communicate effectively, if your visual aesthetic undermines your message, if people are laughing at how you look rather than listening to what you're saying, you've lost before you've begun. The goatee shadow is also symbolic in another way. It represents attention to detail, or lack thereof. Successful political communications require obsessive attention to every element: lighting, wardrobe, background, body language, tone, pacing, message discipline. The fact that such an obvious visual problem made it through whatever review process exists suggests sloppiness, lack of professionalism, or absence of anyone with authority to say we need to reshoot this. That doesn't inspire confidence in government competence more broadly. If they can't get a simple video message right, can they get complex policy implementation right? There's also something deeply British about this whole debacle. Only in Britain would a Prime Minister's New Year's message become a national joke primarily because of an unfortunate lighting, shadow, and dark wardrobe choices rather than because of what he actually said. The critique is aesthetic and optical rather than substantive, yet it matters because presentation shapes perception. Starmer wanted to project hope and confidence. Instead, he projected villain from a spy thriller, and that's all anyone remembers. Thanks for watching. Sometimes a medium really does destroy the message, especially when you accidentally look like a Bond villain.